So you know Stephen Colbert, he does the Daily Show on, or the Late Show, I don't know, Daily, Late, Tomorrow, whatever it may be. He does the Late Show on CBS, took Letterman's place. Now, one time those late night shows, all three of them, were titans. I mean, you know, a lot of people watch them. I sold a lot of books. I was on Kimmel and Leno and Letterman more than 20 times, 25 times the combination. I mean, I was all over it because I sold books. Now, very few people watch them because they're not funny. And at that late at night, you want to relax, you want to be agitated. And Colbert in particular, Fallon doesn't get too involved with the politics. I mean, yeah, he's in a culture, I understand, but he's not driven. Colbert is a hardcore leftist. And he's a right to be. If CBS wants to pay him to spout that stuff, hey, right? Colbert used to be a Jon Stewart acolyte. You remember the way back they were on Comedy Central, and Colbert was amusing back then. He's not amusing anymore because his whole persona is pushing left-wing politics. You can't get on Colbert's show if you're not a raving liberal. All right, enter Rachel Maddow, who works for NBC and who is the premier television liberal in the country. Highly paid, not what you think. The published reports of how much money she's making are not true. But she is the highest rated host on MSNBC. She's carved out a nice career for herself being a far left woman. And that's a democracy. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticizing that. What I am criticizing is the irresponsible statements that she makes and that Colbert makes. So let me prove my point. Roll it.
This is not the behavior of people, because the Republicans haven't stood up en masse to resist what Donald Trump has done. A few people here or there. This is not the behavior of people who seem like they believe they have to answer to voters in 18 months. Yeah. That worries me. Yeah. Not that they're not worried, but that they don't think that they should be worried because maybe they don't have to worry about an election at all.
They're disempowering Congress, ignoring Congress when they're defunding agencies or closing agencies. That's Congress's job. That's not the president's job. When they're defying court orders, that's them saying that the courts don't have authority over the president. That's consolidating all power in one man. That's authoritarianism. And that's what you do when you don't ever want to have an election because you want to stay in power for life.
Number one, Ms. Maddow has no idea what the Constitution says. Not. And why should she? Because if the Constitution doesn't fit into her vision, then why bother with it? So Congress appropriates spending. All right? They passed a spending bill. They're going through this now. All right? And they say yes or no, here's the budget, here are the departments, and here's how much money the Department of Education gets, Homeland Security gets, blah, 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 blah. That's what Congress does. But the oversight on how the money is spent comes from the executive branch. So if somebody is stealing money in the Department of Interior, then the Justice Department goes in and makes the arrest, not Congress. That comes under the purview of the president. It's the president's responsibility as a chief law enforcement officer in the country, Ms. Maddow, perhaps you don't know that, okay, to make sure that the money that Congress allocates is spent honestly and responsibly. Do you not understand that at all? So when a president, any president, sees that it is not, that president has a right to go in and stop the wasteful spending and refer criminal charges to the Attorney General if that is warranted. That's how it works. So each department has an inspector general. And the inspector general's job is to write reports about where the money goes and give the reports to both the executive branch, the president, and Congress, so everybody can see it. But that has not been taking place, as the Doge expositions prove beyond any reasonable doubt. So Maddow, number one, doesn't want Doge. doesn't want to know the wasteful and corrupt spending, and I guess doesn't believe that the President of the United States has any authority to stop it. That's just madness. She would flunk any political science course that she took. And then she says they want to stay in power for life, so they don't want elections. Based on what, madam? Based on what? Did Donald Trump not leave when he was defeated by Joe Biden? Yeah, he left. He didn't have to be dragged out. He left. So the reason that these people say this, Colbert, look, when I debated Colbert on the O'Reilly factor, and you can Google it, I think it's still around. It was like me in my high school teaching days, teaching urchins who didn't know anything. That's what it was like. Stewart, now he's on it, Jon Stewart, not Colbert. Just so you know. So Colbert said, disregard for our institutions, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. There's no disregard. Trump has been quite clear he's not going to do anything to Social Security or Medicare, and Medicaid is going to be reformed because it's corrupt. And again, he has the power to reform it or make referrals. Look, when the taxpayer is funding Medicaid and the federal government sends billions of dollars to California, and California uses the money to pay for the health concerns of undocumented migrants, which it does, that is corruption. Do we not know that? When California uses Medicaid dollars from Washington, from you and me, okay, to set up dance programs in poor neighborhoods, that is corruption. Medicaid is not to be used for dance programs. And the President of the United States has the power to stop that, to reform that. If he didn't, or she didn't, down the road, there would be madness. There would be no supervision. You can't have Congress hearing every level of wasteful and corrupt spending. It's impossible. And the Founding Fathers knew that, which is why they infused the executive branch, the presidency, with all kinds of power, including executive orders. So why do these people do this? Why Colbert and Maddow do this? I know Colbert a little bit. I don't think I've ever met Maddow, okay? They do it for two reasons. Number one, they believe this stuff. They can live in a bubble. They believe what they want to believe. You're not going to, this commentary, if you played it to them, they would hate me. They wouldn't take into account what I'm saying or the factual basis of it. They wouldn't even consider it. They believe what they want to believe. They're comfortable in the far left bubble. They love it in there. It's like a baby in the womb. They love it in there. They don't want to come out. Okay. And the other reason is money. Rachel Maddow makes a ton of money being a far left zealot. A ton of money. You know, you got Scarborough over there, Morning Joe, you know him. He used to be a Republican, conservative. And all of a sudden he's, well, what? Money. Nicole Wallace used to be a Republican advisor to Bush the Younger. No, now she's a raving. This. All right? You wave that check. You say this. This is what we need you to do. Okay. Okay. I mean, that's not right. And it goes on the right, too, believe me. Believe me. Okay? Because I worked at Fox News. And I know the sincere people, and you saw them on The Factor. I never used charlatans. Because I knew the conservative people who were just phonies, just doing it for money. I knew who they were. That was easy to see. I would put on people of both liberal and conservative persuasions if they were sincere. And I could tell, because it's all fact-based stuff. When you are presented with a fact that is indisputable and you reject the fact, then there's another reason why you're doing that. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I have nothing against Rachel Maddow at all. She's made a success of herself, and in America, that's not easy to do what she does. I don't like Colbert. I don't like him, anything about him. And He's got 2 million people that watch him every night. Carson had 9 million. And the 2 million is shrinking. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.